Hi, everybody. Welcome to English Digest. I'm Stephanie.
I'm Tom.
Hey, it's our literature unit, and we're on day 2. We are discussing a very, very famous play. It's a classic by William Shakespeare called A Midsummer Night's Dream, about some tangled love stories, some confusion among couples. There's so many characters in this particular drama or play. It's actually a comedy by Shakespeare that it's hard to keep track of all of them. But it's very fun, and if you get the chance to see it, if it comes to your town and it's on stage and you get to see a live performance, I absolutely recommend you go and see it. There are also some film versions that have been done of this as well, although I think they changed the title of the movie. It wasn't called A Midsummer Night's Dream, but had the same plot.
I like to listen to the audio recordings of these plays. I did want to mention that the nice thing about this particular play is that no one dies.
Yeah.
Like in other Shakespeare plays, it seems like everybody dies at some point. You know, in Hamlet dies, his father dies, his uncle dies, etc., etc. They all seem to die by the end of the play. But in this one, no one dies, and that's pretty cool. And so far, we've kind of summarized this tangled situation between all these people. We've got Hermia, we've got Lysander, we've got Demetrius, and we've got Helena. And one person loves another person. That person does not love that person back, but they love somebody else instead. And then King Oberon gets involved by casting a magic spell, or at least he gets his servant to cast that magic spell. The servant is Puck. And it's getting quite complicated, but we will try to figure it out. We'll try to resolve the situation in today's lesson. So let's listen to it right now. The forest chaos intensifies when Oberon commands Puck to amend the situation. Puck applies the love potion to Demetrius, who also falls for Helena upon waking. Consequently, both men, formerly devoted to Hermia, now adore Helena and nearly engage in combat. This leaves Hermia confused and heartbroken. Meanwhile, a group of craftsmen enters the forest to rehearse a play for the Duke's wedding. One of them, Bottom, becomes the victim of Puck's tricks as his head is magically transformed into that of a donkey. When Titania awakens, she instantly falls for donkey-headed Bottom and commands her fairies to spoil him. As dawn approaches, Oberon takes pity on Titania and reverses the spell, and Puck restores Bottom's human form. With all the spells undone, Oberon and Titania make up, and peace returns to the fairy realm. Oberon then directs Puck to resolve the confusion among the human lovers. Puck uses magic to lead them through the forest until they collapse from tiredness, and then applies a remedy to Lysander's eyes. By morning, Theseus encounters the 4 youthful lovers asleep in the woods. When they awaken, Lysander's affections return to Hermia, while Demetrius continues to be enchanted with Helena. Theseus thus overrules Hermia's father's demands and permits both couples to marry as they desire. The play concludes with a grand triple wedding at the palace, followed by a delightful performance by Bottom and his fellow craftsmen. As the night ends, Oberon, Titania, and their fairies bless the newlyweds. For everyone involved, all the absurd events of that night in the forest are merely a midsummer night's dream.
Okay, folks, we're going to dive in. It's day 2 again, so we've got the forest chaos intensifying here as we begin in paragraph 1. When we last left you, we left the 4 young lovers in the forest, along with Oberon, who's the king fairy, and Titania, who is his queen wife. And we've also got Oberon's fairy servant, whose name is Puck. So we're following these characters into the forest, and the forest chaos intensifies. If something intensifies, it becomes stronger or even more serious than it was before. And here we've got a lot of chaos. There's a lot of confusion that's going on. It intensifies especially when Oberon commands or tells Puck to amend the situation. If you amend something, it means you make some changes or improvements to something. Maybe you've written a report for class and your teacher looks at it and asks you to amend the conclusion or maybe a couple of paragraphs where she thinks you can make it a little better. It just means you fix it, make some corrections, you revise it. You could use that as well.
Right, to correct the situation, to make things normal again. And so Puck is entrusted with that task, and Puck applies the love potion to Demetrius, who also falls for Helena upon waking. Okay, so I guess Puck made another mistake here again. Again, we got that magic potion. You see this in kind of fairy tales and things like that. When they have some sort of magical liquid, it's oftentimes referred to as a magic potion.
Yeah.
This is a love potion. It's kind of just a magical juice from that flower. And he applies it to Demetrius, and then Demetrius falls for Helena when he wakes up because, remember, you apply that potion to somebody when they're sleeping. When they wake up, they will fall in love with the first person they see. Well, he wakes up and sees Helena. He loves her too. So now both, Demetrius and Lysander, both of them are in love with,
Helena.
Helena, yeah. I was going to say Hermia, but it's actually Helena.
No, what's funny is at the beginning, they both were devoted to Hermia, and now it's completely switched. They both adore Helena. And so poor Hermia is left out in the cold, you might say. If you're left out in the cold, nobody loves you or is paying attention to you. You're kind of left out there alone. So both these men are now adoring Helena. If you're devoted to someone or something, it means you're very loving to them. You're loyal. You use a lot of time in committing to help them and, support them in whatever they're doing. You're very devoted. You're faithful. You're dedicated. You could say that too. So now they adore Helena. To adore someone just means you really love somebody or something deeply. Maybe you admire them a lot. You can adore your animals, your pets that you have at home. You can even say, I adore singing, or I adore mountain hiking. You can adore different things. You just really love something a lot. So now they both adore Helena, who was kind of ignored earlier, and they nearly engage in combat. So these are two men fighting over one woman. What happens in real life? Oh, those two guys usually start fighting over some hot chick, you could say. And this leaves Hermia confused. And sadly, she's heartbroken.
Yep, she was in love with Lysander, but now Lysander is in love with, Hermia? Helena. Those H names are throwing me off here, but yes, indeed. Hermia is kind of left out in the cold now. Nobody loves her. Meanwhile, this is some more people who enter the play. A group of craftsmen enters the forest to rehearse a play for the Duke's wedding. Now we're going back to the Duke again. That's kind of the person we introduced at the very beginning. They were planning a wedding, and so these craftsmen are people who have special skills in something. I think in this particular case, they're highly skilled in drama. They're thespians, we could say. They know how to act and things like that. Craftsmen, to me, don't usually refer to people in the arts. It refers to like plumbers or carpenters or things like that. But in Shakespeare's day, I guess people who could perform plays very well were referred to as craftsmen.
Yeah, I think this is an example of the use of kind of Old English, a term in Old English that we don't use in the same way anymore. As Tom said, we call these guys thespians, Thespian, thespian, or actors, actresses. These are just a group of actors. Back then, there were no women who were acting. There were men who would take on women's roles as well. So they entered the forest to rehearse a play for the Duke's wedding. And one of them, whose name unfortunately was Bottom, which is a weird name, he becomes the victim of Puck's tricks. Because this is what happens. His head is magically transformed into that of a donkey. If something's transformed, it's changed from one thing to another. And sadly, this poor guy, his head suddenly turns into a donkey's head.
Exactly. And a donkey is also referred to as an ass. This is similar to a mule, but I think a mule is actually a mix between a donkey and a horse.
Yeah.
This is a donkey here. So he's got the head of a donkey and the body of a human. And when Titania awakens, when she wakes up, she instantly falls for donkey-headed Bottom and commands her fairies to spoil him. So she wants her fairies to take good care of him, to give him nice things, to spoil him. Basically, to spoil just means to treat somebody better than they're supposed to be treated. Maybe lots of, parents spoil their kids. Or if they have a son, they spoil him because he's kind of like the little emperor. He's going to take over the family business someday. So yes, indeed, she's got some interesting taste here. She has fallen in love with somebody who has the head of a donkey. Maybe she likes that braying sound or whatever.
I don't know. It's kind of crazy. Yeah, we use spoil a lot when we talk about kids, especially grandparents. They always spoil their grandkids, at least in America, where they probably don't see their grandkids as often as they do in Taiwan, where grandparents often are taking care of their grandchildren during the day while their parents are working. But yeah, you just treat someone like they're a little king or a queen. You give them whatever they want. They don't even have to work hard for it. So yeah, it's kind of a funny moment in the play as you see this really elegant queen, Titania, just loving this donkey-headed bottom, which is insane. Now, we're moving on to the next paragraph. It says, as dawn approaches, so it's the beginning of a new day here, Oberon takes pity on Titania. So he's played this horrible trick on her. Remember, he wanted to seek revenge because they'd been fighting or quarreling over a child in day one of our lesson. And he finally feels kind of sad that he's treating Titania so badly. And, she's kind of in a humiliating situation by loving this donkey-headed bottom. So he decides to reverse the spell. If you reverse something, you go backward or you undo something that you've done before. If you're driving a car and you go in reverse, it just means you change the gears so that the car goes backward and not forward. So he reverses the spell, and that's when Puck restores Bottom's human form. So once the spell is reversed or undone, you could say they undo the spell, then Bottom looks like a human again. He doesn't look like a donkey anymore.
Yep, he took pity on Titania. He felt sorry for her, so he reversed the spell. And then Bottom returns to his human form. And with all the spells undone, Oberon and Titania make up, and peace returns to the fairy realm. So they were arguing before, I guess, but now they make up. They're okay. They're okay with each other. Let's see, Titania and Oberon had some sort of problem before, I guess. And so now, because everybody's so happy, peace returns to the fairy realm. Here, realm just kind of means the world within this play. It's kind of a magical kingdom. You see the word realm when we talk about fantasy literature, the realm of the kingdom or whatever.
You really do. Notice here, as Tom said, if people are arguing or they've been fighting, and then they say, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. Oh, that's okay, I forgive you. We just use the English term or the English verb phrase, make up. They made up. They made up. It's okay. Oh, yeah, they were fighting last week, but they made up. Oh, no, they haven't made up yet. They're still angry at each other. So they actually did make up, and it brings peace to fairyland again. And Oberon then directs Puck to resolve the confusion among the human lovers. So Oberon, who's in charge in the fairy realm at least, directs his servant Puck to fix the confusion among the human lovers. Now, when there's confusion, it means there's a lot of chaos. There's a lot of things or people who are misunderstanding each other. There's a lot of, there's a lot of unsettling feeling going on because nobody knows what's going on. Wow, there's a lot of confusion. People are walking around trying to figure out what's going on. Here we know there's confusion among those four human lovers. We've got Hermia, Helena, Demetrius, and Lysander. And they're all loving the wrong person at this point in time because of really dumb magical spells.
Yeah, we have returned to the original situation. It's, Helena likes Demetrius, but Demetrius doesn't like her. And Hermia likes Lysander, but her father or whoever doesn't want her to run off with him, but she does it anyway. Oh, it's so confusing, but of course they need to resolve the confusion among the human lovers, and we'll find out what Puck does next So let's take a break now, but we'll be right back after we listen to our Chinese teacher.
听众朋友大家好，我是安娜。我们昨天带大家来看这个非常有名的莎士比亚的经典的小说啊，叫做《仲夏夜之梦》。然后我们看到有4个年轻人嘛，还记得吗？ Hermia, Demetrius, 还有 Lysander, 还有 Helena。 好，后来他们4个年轻人呢都跑到森林里面去了。到森林当中啊，发生了一团混乱，因为 Puck 他不小心把这个药水啊弄到了 Lysander 的身上，而不是 Demetrius 的身上，所以后来呢就居然让这个 Lysander 爱上了 Helena。 这会发生什么事情呢？接下来就好玩了，我们赶快来看今天的故事。总而言之呢，这个森林当中的混乱啊，就是在这个先王啊命令 Puck 要先修正这个局面amend the situation 的时候，又发生了另外一些事情。第一段的第2句啊，我们看到这个所谓的爱情药水 love potion， 他Puck 本来想要修正嘛，想要把这个爱情的药水啊，把它这个涂抹在 Demetrius 的身上，使得 Demetrius 在一醒来的时候也爱上了 Helena。 这里的一醒来的时候啊，在第一段第2句最后面 upon waking 又看到这个句型，upon 或者是 on 这个介系词后面只要再加上动词 ing 就有表示强调时间一怎么的时候。也就是说 Demetrius 跟 Lysander 2个人都喜欢上了本来应该是要喜欢 Hermia 的，本来之前都喜欢 Hermia， 居然现在都喜欢 Hermia 的朋友 Helena。 那这时候呢 Hermia 就觉得怪怪的啊，而且呢也感觉这个非常的伤心。那在这个时候呢，突然就有一群人出现在森林里面。哪一群人啊？就是有一群 craftsmen 工匠。那这时候他们本来是要进来森林排练一出为了公爵婚礼准备的戏剧。那这时候又发生了其他的事，什么事呢？原来其中一个人叫做 Bolton， 他又成为 Puck 恶作剧的受害者了。我们来看第2段。第2段的第2句啊，我们这边特别要注意一下，有几个重点。第一个重点呢，就是这个句子当中逗点之后的 as 这个连接词。我们复习一下，如果 as 当连接词的时候，在英文当中有3个意思。第一个 when 表时间，2 because 表原因，3呢则是有一种比喻的功能，就如同好像 in the same way 的意思。第2句这里先把 as 抓出来，接着呢我们要来看一个代名词，也就是句子后面倒数第4个字的 that。可这个 that 你不要突然这样抓出来哦，你要把 that 跟后面的限定 that of a donkey 这整4个字抓出来。那 of a donkey 呢，则是限定 that 是什么样的东西，也就是驴子的那个东西。哪个东西呢？如果我们在句子当中看到 that 这个代名词啊，它通常带的就是这一句话当中曾经出过的字词，在这里指的是 head 头。那这2个头为什么我不用代名词 it 呢？因为前面一开始出现的 his head bottom 的头前面有一个限定是 his head， 所以这个头跟驴子的头是2个不一样的头哦。这时候你的代名词不能用 it， 所以如果你要表示同种类但是不一样的事物，在同一句话当中的代名词单数就会使用 that。 换句话说 Bolton 这个工匠啊，他的头居然变成驴头了。而且更夸张的是啊，因为这个 love potion 的关系啊，魔法药水的关系， Titania 醒来的时候，他居然爱上这个驴头的 Bolton， 还命令他的仙子服侍他，这整个就变得很好笑就对了。好，所以接下来就来到第3段啦。那时间这样子推移之后，隔天的黎明就来了。我们在第3段第1句又看到了连接词的 as， 在这里的连接词根据上下文的推论应该是 when， 表示时间。随着黎明来临了，那么先王 Oberon 终于呢感觉到大家都很可怜了，好了算了，就把所有的魔法都解除了。在第3段的第2句前面，我们看到一个 with 开头。我们曾经说 with 可能是表原因啦，表方法啦，或者是这个随着什么什么的时间的意思，但是在这里的 with 是一个附带的状况哦。我们看到的是 with 加受词 all the spells， 所有的魔咒，再加上补语 undone 被解除，这是 with 加受词跟补语表示伴随状况的句型。
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back, guys. It's day 2 of our literature unit. We're focused on the classic play, A Midsummer Night's Dream. It's been turned into movies, plays, video games probably at this point. Who knows? But it's a classic play by William Shakespeare. It was written in the 1500s. And it's about, if I had to summarize it, I would say it's about a group of confused lovers, you know. It's a tangled love triangle, quadruple. What do you call it? I guess it's a quartet. A tangled quartet, a love quartet. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. When we first started out, we had a couple that were truly in love, and that's Hermia and Lysander. And they weren't allowed to get married by the Duke Theseus, who's in charge of everybody, and Hermia's dad, who wanted her to marry somebody else. And so they wanted to get married so badly, they took off. They eloped. So they went into the forest, and at the same time, Helena, who is Hermia's best friend, was in love with someone named Demetrius, who was supposed to be set up with Hermia. She tells Demetrius that, hey, Hermia took off. She probably thought that would make Demetrius kind of maybe side with her a little bit, notice her a little bit. So, because she's in love with Demetrius. But that's not what happened. Demetrius, of course, took off after Hermia into the forest, and then Helena took off after him as well. So they're in the forest when the fairy king Oberon asks his servant Puck to put some magical spell on his wife, who is Queen Titania. But Puck messes up and puts it on the wrong person. He first puts it on, first puts it on Lysander, I think, right?
Sounds right.
And what happens is Lysander then falls in love with Helena, which is the wrong person. He loves Hermia. And then Oberon tells Puck, hey, you screwed up. Go fix this. And then he puts the magical potion on Demetrius, who then falls in love with Helena. At this point in the story, both men love Helena, and Hermia has no one.
Indeed. So this is a very confusing situation. There is a lot of confusion. So Puck uses magic to lead them through the forest until they collapse from tiredness. And then Puck applies a remedy to Lysander's eyes. So this is what Puck is doing. He leads them through the forest. They probably wouldn't normally want to do that, but he has a magic spell to get them to follow him. And they just keep following him until they collapse from exhaustion. To collapse just means you fall down. In this case, you fall down because you're just too tired. A building might collapse in an earthquake, for example, but here they are just exhausted and they pass out, they collapse. And then Puck applies a remedy to Lysander's eyes. Now, a remedy, of course, is something that can fix a problem. Remember, they had a magic potion before, which did one thing, and then he's got a remedy for Lysander's eyes, which will probably reverse the spell.
Yeah, hopefully. We have home remedies we talk about quite a bit. Maybe you've had a mosquito bite. A home remedy might be a little bit of a cream or a salve that you put on to make it stop itching so much. So he applies his remedy to Lysander's eyes. And by morning, Theseus, who's the Duke, encounters or runs into the 4 youthful lovers asleep in the woods. So those 4 have collapsed out of tiredness. They're all asleep. And the Duke, who's in charge of everyone, he runs into them. And we're using this adjective here, youthful, just to describe they have qualities of being very young. They've got a lot of energy. They're lively. They're fresh. At this moment, though, they're all asleep.
That's right. So when they awaken or when they wake up, Lysander's affections return to Hermia. So he's normal now. He still likes Hermia. They were supposed to run off together. And then Demetrius continues to be enchanted with Helena. So if you're enchanted with somebody, that means they're very magical to you. You kind of think they're a fairy princess or something. You really like them. And yes, he's enchanted with Helena. He loves her. He likes her.
He's drawn to her.
Exactly. He's smitten with her, I guess you could also say. And Theseus thus overrules Hermia's father's demands and permits both couples to marry as they desire. So here Theseus kind of has seen the light here. He overrules Hermia's father's demands. Remember, this is the Duke. He has more power than Hermia's father. So he says, well, I don't care what you want, Hermia's father. I'm going to correct this situation. I'm going to overrule you.
Yeah.
That just means somebody has more power than somebody else. And these couples are now free to marry whoever they want to.
Yeah, sometimes if you're watching a sports match, especially in tennis, sometimes the calls that are made will be overruled. If they see a replay of something, they'll realize, oh, we called that wrong, and that shot or whatever gets overruled. It gets changed by someone who has more authority. So Hermia's father's demands and are done away with. We don't care what that mean father wanted. And then Theseus permits both couples to marry as they desire. Now, the good news is Demetrius, who was at first not in love with Helena, is still in love with Helena. So Helena gets her guy, and Demetrius, because of the earlier potion, is still in love with Helena. So those two get married. Hermia and Lysander, they were originally in love, and they needed no love potion. That's real. Those two are back in love because Lysander's affections return to Hermia. So this is the good news. The play concludes with a grand triple wedding at the palace. Remember, Theseus is marrying Hippolyta? Yeah, that's a weird name. Hippolyta.
Right.
And that happens at the palace, and following the wedding is a delightful performance by the craftsmen. Remember, they're really actors, but we call them craftsmen in the Shakespeare play. And Bottom is back to a human form. He no longer has the donkey head, so there's some good things happening at the end.
Right. It's a triple wedding. We've got 3 weddings happening at the same time. In baseball, for example, if you hit the ball and you're able to get to third base before they throw the ball there, you have got yourself a triple. Mm-hmm. Or you could get a single or a double or even a home run.
Or ice cream cone. If you get 3 scoops, that's a triple.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Or in the Olympics, there's the triple jump, for example. It's kind of like the long jump. But you get the idea. There are 3 weddings taking place. And then we've got the craftsmen or the players performing for them. It's going to be a festive occasion. And as the night ends, Oberon, Titania, and their fairies bless the newlyweds. So if you just got married, you are a newlywed.
That's right. So for everyone involved, all the absurd events of that night in the forest are merely or only a Midsummer Night's Dream. It's just like somebody dreamed it. If something's absurd, it's ridiculous, it's really silly. Oh, that's absurd. Oh, can you believe that? So, yeah, it's kind of an absurd play, but it's very fun. And I remember when I saw it in New York, and I remember thinking, I don't know what's going on, but I love watching the acting. So I would again suggest that if you do have a chance to go see it live on stage, just read the plot beforehand so you know exactly who is whom and who is falling in love with whom and when and what happens so that you can really thoroughly enjoy it.
Yeah, that's a feature of Shakespeare plays. You kind of pretty much have to know what's going on before you actually see it. Otherwise, you'll probably be very lost. Even native speakers will not know what the heck is going on.
True.
Okay, that brings us to the end of our explanation for today. We need to hear one more time from our Chinese teacher. Take it away.
所以魔法解除之后呢 Oberon 就指示 Pug 一定要解决这一些混乱啦。所以后来这4个年轻人呢就穿过森林，直到他们因为疲惫而倒下。那最后故事就快要结尾啦。到了早晨的时候 Theseus 大家还记得这个公爵吧，他就在森林当中发现了熟睡的4个年轻人。在第4段的第一句当中，我们看到一个关系子句的简化哦。先行词就是 the 4 youthful lovers， 后面的 asleep 一直到句尾可以左右挂号，而它省略的是 who 或者是 that 跟 be 动词的 are。那么遇见了之后， 怎么样呢？原来这个魔法都解除了，所以当他们醒来的时候 Lysander 对 Hermia 的爱意就恢复了，而 Demetrius 仍然是喜欢着 Helena， 所以换句话说，这是一个皆大欢喜的 happy ending。 我们刚刚提到的这样的结局呢，出现在第4段第2句。第2句特别注意一下逗点之后的 while， 在这里不是表时间哦，它表示的逗点前面跟后面句子的一个对比对照，所以到最后呢，就是举行了一个盛大的3重婚礼，也就是原本 Theseus 迎娶的这个婚礼，还有后面呢这2对恋人3重的婚礼落幕。所以这就是我们今天看到最经典的莎士比亚的《仲夏夜之梦》，希望大家喜欢。以上是我们今天的讲解，我是安娜，我们下次见。
That's all the time we have for today, everybody. Hey, check out this play if you have a chance. You might see it performed online or something, or you might find an audiobook. Or better yet, you could see the play live somewhere. Maybe some Actors Guild or somebody will put on this play for your entertaining delight. From all of us here at English Digest, I'm Tom.
I'm Stephanie.
Goodbye.
Bye.